And so we are winding the way through here. And, Aaron, there's no enviable position about being the last person of the day between the audience and dinner or whatever time zone they're in these days. But really happy to have you here and looking forward to hearing you talk about the Pentaverse and how that could have implications for certainly patient care around the world. And happy to have you join us. And if you could start with a little bit of your background, and I'll jump off camera and hand the virtual podium over to you. And you're on mute.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for having me. And I guess now I am recognizing I am between everyone at dinner. So we'll try to be short and add as much value as I possibly can. My name's Aaron Leibtag. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Pentavere. And we are a digital patient identification company. And looking forward to sharing with you what that means. I'm going to share my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, we can see Aaron.
Okay, wonderful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with probably one of the ugliest, most horrible slides that you've ever seen, which is a glob of text. This is a real life example. This is text from a lung cancer patient, and it's a physician transcription text. And if you take a minute to look at it, what it does is it calls out what is one of the most significant problems in healthcare, which is so much of the information that describes that relationship and dynamic between a patient, their clinician, their treatment, and their outcomes is buried in words like this. If I were to flip to this next slide in terms of showing a CT scan or a pathology report, again, all of the information that one would want to understand about a patient, about their journey, about their outcome is buried in text. And there's a lot of talk today about digital health and unstructured data and different types of clinical content that is out there. And one of the things that we've been working on at Pentavere over the last 6 years is singularly focused on this problem around how, based on the realities of where data sits, how it sits, can we unlock and scale the discovery of information buried in huge amounts of text. This one patient record that I'm sharing this text from is 160 pages, about 70,000 words. Imagine processing or the amount of knowledge that's buried in 5,000 patients, 10,000 patients, 1 million patients. And what happens if we can unlock that information at speed and scale? What does that do to transform healthcare? And how can we unlock that information in a way that is trusted, in a way that works within workflows of existing EMR companies, existing health information systems, and essentially replace and augment the tremendous amount of time and effort that is spent manually reviewing, manually going through and abstracting clinical text like I just showed. And that's what we've done at Pentavere. We've created technology that does that. We validated and published against the quality of that technology, not in data sets in an academic sphere, but actual integrating within major healthcare systems, major EMR companies to extract and publish against that information. One of the things that we're most proud of that differentiates us is the actual testimonials and publications of the technology. But I'm not going to be spending time talking about the technology, but what does that mean and what is the consequence when so much information is actually not used at scale and speed to improve healthcare outcomes? And what does that mean in terms of the millions of patients that are falling through the cracks every single day, not getting the treatments that they need, not because information isn't interoperable, not because information isn't inaccessible, but because it's just buried in huge amounts of complex clinical documents and huge volumes of text that human intelligence alone has a really hard time to understand. And one of the biggest applications of that we've identified is the ability to identify patients who, based on clear guidelines that's in their electronic health record, that's in their diagnostics, are not on foundational therapy. What this shows is a pan-national program that we are doing in heart failure, where the goal is to identify 10,000 patients with reduced ejection fractions. And what we're able to do is ingest huge amounts of text, the entirety of community-based clinics. And what's astonishing is the amount of patients that we are able to identify for clinicians who aren't on foundational therapy, and then be able to stratify based on the actual data that is in their electronic health record. How do we get them seen? How do we surface this information to clinicians? And how do we get them on therapy faster, quicker, and at a scale and speed that current mechanisms of data analysis hasn't allowed us to do before? To give you an idea in terms of what actually goes back to the EMR and the feedback that we get from cardiologists is a complete structured data list by patient. Of course, this is anonymized, that has all of the various diagnostics, all of the various physiological characteristics, all of the various demographics that the clinician can actually go back and assess and evaluate and analyze their patient population in a way that they haven't been able to do before in order to get patients on therapy. And this same technology and applications of being able to understand patients and identify patients and understand the totality of those journeys, we actually just presented a few weeks ago in Washington at AMIA in terms of how we are able to deploy this capability within a regional oncology center and surface almost in real time all of the information that is buried in clinical notes, histopathology reports, being able to inform on the patient journey. So there's a lot of talk about a learning health system and the idea that a learning health system has been proposed to leverage data to the fullest potential, acting as a continual cycle of scientific evidence informing clinical practice, and then data captured through clinical practice informs future scientific investigation. However, that latter part of the loop, for the reasons that I've described, is missing because data isn't readily available. It's captured in clinical notes, it's siloed, it's unstructured, making it really difficult for analysis by conventional means. And what we demonstrated at AMIA and published on is actually deploying and solving this problem within a regional oncology center that is also being fed by 11 tertiary community-based centers. So imagine for a moment, and this isn't science fiction, that you can ask your healthcare system a question like, how many premenopausal HER2 negative metastatic breast cancer patients are there with brain metastases? And not only will the system be able to generate a patient list with the corresponding clinical features that support and answer that question with the speed and seamlessness as a Google search, but very rapidly then be able to generate and do analytics on the totality of what that patient journey is. And here's just an example of a patient and the types of visualization and analytics that this particular regional cancer center is able to generate in order to understand the totality of their patient population. And again, I just want to end with, this is being done today. We're in the early days of AI. But the ability to be able to access, analyze huge amounts of clinical text, to discover all of the things that we currently don't fully understand about what is happening in the real world with real world patients is possible today. And there's a lot of focus, a lot of time and attention and understanding around how can AI be used to better understand genomics, better be used to accelerate drug discovery. But there is this same amount of huge unknown knowledge that's buried in the trillions of sentences, the trillions of characters of clinical text that AI can also unleash, also unpack, and allow us to be able to better understand such patient journeys. That's exactly what we are doing at Pentavere. We're scaling this capability globally, and really excited around the impact that it is having around being able to identify patients who are falling through the cracks, not getting the care they need, and what the business end of that is for the life science sector, and what that means in terms of minimizing liabilities for major providers, as well as generating revenue by being able to identify these patients and get them on treatment. Thank you very much, and happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
No, it's fantastic. And certainly I think the opportunities and the obstacles of the Pentaverse are really important for everyone to understand, as a lot of folks here are executives that are probably being pitched Pentaverse options, and then certainly we have a lot of startups here that want to understand what the opportunities are, and investors who may be looking at investment opportunities. So again, I think one of the questions that we have, let's see the Q&A. We've got Q&A, we've got DTX. So when you look at this as a digital therapeutic and something that could be used for 5 to 12-year-olds who are being treated for anxiety and depression, what's your thought process there? How would this be able to help them out?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So number one, this is not a digital therapeutic. So, in AI means a lot of things. So, AI can be used to diagnose. What we are doing is surfacing and analyzing information that is already there. So we're not actually making a diagnosis. What we are doing is identifying for clinicians, identifying for third parties, patients that meet certain characteristics that aren't optimized by being able to analyze the totality of an electronic health record. In terms of the use case that was asked, every day, people wake up and try to commit suicide. And I know in Canada, that number is 11 people a day. I believe it's a lot more in the US, and it's 20 people a day in the UK. Well, we know very little about these patients. These are patients who have gone through an emergency room. These are patients who have been on various therapies that may or may not be based on guidelines. So imagine the ability to be able to surface and identify patients like in that use case, not make that diagnosis from a therapeutics perspective, but be able to organize all of the information in such a way that that clinician or that provider can intervene upstream and help them based on all of the information that we are able to glean from theirs and people like them's electronic health record.
Incredible. Well, look, Aaron, a wealth of knowledge in a very novel and very relevant ecosystem. Thank you for presenting this here today, and we'll keep you on tabs for coming back next year to give us an update on what is happening with the Pentaverse and how it's affecting healthcare. Thank you very much for your time today, and have a great holiday and a great new year. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Wow, what a day two. We have been very fortunate to have some of the global leaders in digital healthcare presenting everything from the Pentaverse to what's happening with physicians within the ecosystem and digital health post pandemic in this new endemic phase, and what is going on with the digital health spend with again the folks from Rittenhouse Ventures and a lot of other really incredible trends and really important technologies that we're seeing build in this digital health reset. And so that brings us to the end of day two, and really appreciate everybody's comments, their questions, and looking forward to a great day tomorrow. We'll be hosted by Jerry Antimano, and we'll be featuring again a star-studded group of sessions speakers and panels, interviews, and technologies to help you all better understand what is happening with the digital health ecosystem and where we are in 2022 and where we're going in 2023. And so if you have any questions, if you have any comments, any topics, please do email us or connect us on LinkedIn and talk to us there. We're very, very interested in understanding not only what you're learning from these sessions, but what you want to continue to learn about for our January symposium. And then obviously our Summer Digital Health Summit at Columbia University in June 2021, or 2023 rather, on June 20, June 21, and June 22. If you want to register for that summit, just click on the QR code with your phone and go directly to the invite only page. And again, this is something that we don't promote except with our community. We do have a very tightly knit community of people who are extremely engaged and extremely focused as a singular mission to help bring digital to really the global population, not just the wealthiest 1 billion, but the lowest income 1 billion as well, through science, through research, through evidence, and through hypothesis generated work that we're doing on a daily basis. So again, thank you all for joining us here today. We will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on the same Zoom chat. And in the meantime, no matter where you are in the world, have a great rest of your day. And please do take care, stay safe. Cheers.